Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aidan, and here we have
Liam.
and this is our poem of the day. So we read and studied A Valediction, Forbidden Mourning by John Donne.
Now we're going to talk about the author. John Donne was born in 1572 to a Catholic family. Catholics were persecuted at the time, which made life difficult for him. In his early teens, he studied at several universities. He studied law at Lincoln College later into his academic career to get a degree in law. In 1601, Donne became a member of the English Parliament. There he met the 16-year-old Anne More, who he secretly married. Anne Moore's father found out about them. He strongly disapproved of their marriage and did anything he could to separate them. He even put Donne into jail for a time. In the following years, Donne and Anne More had 11 kids. Because of this, Donne was financially ruined and lost many of his friends. In 1617, Anne More died, giving birth to their 12th child. And then in 1631, John Donne passed away.
Now here's the poem.
As virtuous men pass mildly away, and whisper to their souls to go, while some of their sad friends do say, the breath goes now, and some say no. So let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods, nor sigh tempests move. 'Twere profanation of our joys, to tell the laity our love. Moving of the earth brings harms and fears, men reckon what it did and meant, but trepidation of the spheres, through thou greater far is innocent. Dull sublunary lovers love, whose soul is sense cannot admit, absence because it doth remove those things which elemented it. But we by a love so much refined, that ourselves know not what it is, interassured of the mind, careless eyes, lips, and hands to miss. Our two souls therefore, which are one, though I must go, endure not yet a breach but an expansion, like gold to an airy thinless beat. If they be two, they are two so, as stiff twin compasses are two. Thy soul, the fixed foot, makes no show to move, but doth if the other do. And though it in the centre sit, yet when the other far doth roam, it leans and hearkens after it, and grows erect as that comes home. Such wilt thou be to me, who must, like the other foot, obliquely run. Thy firmness makes my circle just, and makes me end where I begun.
Now I'll discuss the meaning of the poem. The poem starts with the image of men quietly passing away, telling their souls to leave their bodies. There is no tell of whether or not they have stopped breathing yet. In other words, their deaths are unclear because their souls are still living. This spiritual image sets an example for how the speaker wants him and his lover to leave each other, silently and without weeping, because openly grieving would damage their private love by displaying their care and experiences with each other to random people. Now, the first line of the third stanza, which describes earthquakes, is a metaphor for the physical display of grief and how it would draw attention to their love life by having people wonder about such. In the third line of the third stanza, trepidation of the spheres is an astronomical theory that relates to the movement in the heavens. According to the speaker, this would be a more meaningful and spiritual way of grief, as it would go unnoticed by public eye. Now, the central part of the poem begins with the fourth stanza, which states that the love of boring people cannot live on to handle separation, since it is dependent on a sensual connection rather than a spiritual one. Physical bonds do not live on when lovers are not physically together. The fifth stanza describes the love that the speaker and his lover experience, a more refined and stable one. It's as if their limbic systems and their brains have a deep link of love between them. The sixth stanza explains that although the soul of the speaker must go, it will not separate from his lover because the sense of love keeping the two souls together will only grow to make up the distance between them. The author throws in a cheeky little simile here, describing their expanding love like the widening of metal when it is hammered. Yeah, so now back to the physical meaning of what he's talking about. So essentially, when the non-stationary foot of the compass moves, the other stationary foot of the compass kind of has to adjust to the change in direction, and the angle changes, which kind of represents the love, that the spiritual love between the two points of the compass, obviously the two lovers, that grows, hence the angle grows, the further they go apart to make up for the distance between them. When the speaker moves further away, the stationary foot adjusts its angle to lean in that direction, which is also a way of it showing that it wishes to be with its partner. And when the foot returns, the moving foot being the speaker, the stationary foot straightens itself to be upright, as presenting itself in an excited and alert fashion. And these descriptions accurately describe the movements and uses of a real-life drawing compass, actually. And anyways, on to the last stanza. The speaker argues that his lover will be the stationary foot to him while he travels the path he desires. Metaphorically, he is the other foot of the compass, drawing out his path in a circular manner as he goes. With her stability and support as his partner and stationary foot, he creates a perfect circle, always bringing himself back to her in the end. After all, she is his lover, the butter to his toast, the sun to his world, and the pencil to his paper. Those are some metaphors I made. Now, as we've hinted to before, the main idea of the poem is love, but more specifically, it is a rather spiritual love in that the speaker believes that mourning excessively or grieving in a physical way will taint the moments that he and this woman shared together whilst actively in love. Extended metaphors are used throughout the poem, meaning they aren't formed only within one or two lines, but rather multiple stanzas, or a single stanza for that matter. He uses the compass and the spheres to represent the connection of the two lovers' souls, an example of symbolism. He uses imagery and similes to reinforce and further deepen the meaning of the symbols he uses. For example, if they be two, they are two so, as stiff twin compasses are two. This is an example of imagery, and it is also a simile.
This poem is very structured compared to Don's other work. The 9 4-line stanzas each follow an A-B rhyme scheme, where lines 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 each rhyme. This is also classically known as end rhyme. This poem also follows an iambic tetrameter. Iambic means it alternates unstressed syllable to stressed syllable. Tetrameter means there are 4 feet in one line, or 4 pairs of stressed and unstressed syllables. In this stanza, the first sentence has iambic tetrameter. So let us melt and make no noise. No tear floods nor side tempest move. 'Twere profanation of our joys to tell the laity our love.
I'm lastly going to discuss a bit of how the poem connects to the author and his experiences. Now, the author wrote this poem right after he had to separate from his wife due to diplomatic business. This links to the stanza implying that she is the stationary foot of the compass, and she will angle the angle she is always at, which represents love, will become greater as he travels further away from her. This represents his claim that the love between their souls will grow greater to make up for the increasing physical distance between them. In the title, valediction is another word for farewell, and forbidden mourning clearly represents the main idea that physically grieving when saying goodbye will taint their spiritual connection. Thanks for having us, Aidan
And Leo.
signing off.